Hello and welcome to this delicious yoga flow that is just for the hips and sciatica. It is so good. Let's begin on the mat in seated position. Tuck your heels in towards your lower seat and then take a deep breath in, lifting your arms all the way up overhead, lifting your chest towards the ceiling. And exhale, dropping your left hand towards the floor, reaching your right hand up towards the ceiling. And take a few deep breaths here. And on your next inhale, lift both arms up towards the ceiling. And now when you're exhaling, drop your right hand towards the floor, reaching over with your left hand. Turn your gaze up towards the ceiling. And take a few deep breaths here. And release, coming back to center. And now take a deep breath in, reaching your arms up overhead, lifting your chest upwards. And exhale, slowly releasing your hands to the ground in front of you, bringing your forehead towards the floor. If it cannot reach, you can put a block underneath your forehead. Take a few deep breaths here, just relaxing and melting into the floor if you can. And release, slowly walking your hands towards your body and lifting your body upright. And come onto all fours and have your knees under your hips, slightly wider than your hips, and your hands under your shoulders. Now taking a deep breath, let's move into cow pose, lifting the chin up towards the ceiling. Lift your tailbone as well and drop your belly button towards the floor, expanding your chest. And when you exhale, tuck your tailbone towards your chin, tucking your chin to your chest, and lift your back up towards the ceiling. Move through this a few times on your own. Inhaling, lifting your chest and your chin upward. And then exhaling, tucking your chin and your tailbone, and pushing your spine up towards the ceiling. You can begin to make big circles with your spine. First pushing the right side of your body all the way to the right side of your mat, and then dropping your chest down to your mat, and then moving your left side over to the left side of your mat before coming into cat pose, pushing your shoulders up towards the ceiling. Just making big circles, feeling it in your shoulders and your hips. And switch directions, doing it the other way for a few rounds. Come back to center and find stillness. Taking a deep breath in, lift your right leg up off the ground. Straighten it and extend it to your right side. Place your foot directly on the ground with the outer edge of your foot flat on the ground. Take a deep breath in, lifting your chest to the front in cow pose. Once again, lifting your tailbone towards the ceiling. And when you exhale, move into cat pose, tucking your tailbone and your chin under and lifting your spine up towards the ceiling. Go through a few rounds of these, moving at your own breath from cat to cow with your right leg extended out to the right side, sole of the foot flat on the ground. And slowly come back to center. Bring your right knee back next to your left knee. And wag your tail a little bit. Shake it out. Find some movement in this tabletop position. And on your next inhale, lift your left knee up off the ground and extend your leg. Straighten it and extend it out to the left, dropping the sole of your foot onto the ground. And then begin your cat-cow movements with the inhale, lifting your chest towards the ceiling, lifting your tailbone towards the ceiling. And then on the exhales, tucking your chin and tucking your tailbone under, and pushing your shoulder blades up. Do this for a few rounds, moving at your own breath. And find stillness, bringing your left leg back to the center so your knees are next to each other in tabletop position. Now sink your hips back so that they're on your heels, and using your hands, walking them back behind you, bring your feet flat onto the ground with your knees facing up towards the ceiling. Spread your legs out really wide. We're going to come into a squat or malasana garland pose. So when you can, bring your body up into a squat, pushing your chest between your legs forward and up, always expanding your chest area. And then take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. And when you exhale, bring your hands together at heart center, palms together, and use your elbows to push against your knees, widening your hips here. If this is a little difficult for you, you can slip a block underneath your seat so that way you're not straining to be in the squat position, and instead you can really enjoy this hip stretch. Breathe deeply here, constantly expanding your chest between your legs and then sinking a little bit deeper in your hips. And release, placing the palms of your hands flat on the ground. Straighten your legs and come into a forward fold, swaying back and forth with your knees deeply bent and your body against your thighs. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, roll yourself up to standing, letting your head hang the entire way until the very last thing that comes up is your head. And step your feet together so that they're under your hips. Take a deep breath in, lifting your hands overhead up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, bringing the palms together at heart center. And then bend your knees deeply and fold your body onto your thighs. Take your left elbow and place it on the outside of your right knee. And twist your body using your elbow to push against your knee. And turn your body to the right side. Take a deep breath here, expanding your chest so that way you're not collapsing in this twist. Check in on your hips and see if they're aligned still. Are they level? Is one popped up more than the other? Breathe slowly and be really intentional in this posture. And release with a big inhalation, standing straight up, lift your arms up overhead. And then when you exhale, bring your palms together at heart center. And we'll do the same on the other side, bending your legs deeply, folding your body over your thighs, and then taking your right elbow onto the outside of your left knee. Use your elbow to push yourself open to the left side in a deep twist. And use your breath to create space in your chest here. And release. Drop your hands to the floor and come into a forward fold, swinging back and forth, keeping your knees super bent. We want gravity to pull on the spine here. Taking a deep breath, plant your hands on your shins, extend your spine forward to flatten your back, and then exhale, forward fold again, collapsing your body onto your thighs. Another deep breath in, plant your hands flat onto the ground, and when you exhale, step your right foot all the way back and drop your knee onto the ground, and we'll come into a low lunge. Place your hands on your hips and line up your hips so that both hip joints are facing forward. I'm going to take a deep breath in, lifting your chest upward. And then when you exhale, sink your hips forward towards your front foot. Breathe deeply here. On your next exhale, push your hips back over your back knee, your right knee, and straighten your front left leg. And collapse your body over your thigh and take a couple deep breaths here. Feeling an intense stretch in the back of your left leg. And then inhale, lifting your chest up, bending your left leg and straightening your back leg, coming back into that lunge. And then when you exhale, pushing back into that runner's stretch, bending your right leg and straightening your left leg, bringing your nose to your shin if possible, or just towards it. And move at your own pace, at your own breath, inhaling forward and lifting your chest, and then exhaling, moving backward and collapsing your body over your leg. And the next time that you are in the lunge position with your left leg bent, come and place your hands firmly on the ground, palms facing down, and then take your left foot and wiggle it to the outside of your left hand, all the way to the edge of your mat. And then you can drop on your elbows, you can place some blocks here, whatever is comfortable for you. We're gonna sit here for a few deep breaths in this deep lizard pose. So take a deep breath in, expanding your chest forward, and then exhale, dropping your hips towards your front left heel. And hold here, breathing deeply and slowly. Release and walk your left foot over towards the right side of your mat now, and then drop your knee down to the mat, and you can tuck your left foot towards your right hip. We're going to come into half pigeon pose. Align your hips so that they're both facing forward, and take a peek at your back leg and see that it's straight. And then take a deep breath in, lifting your chest. And then you can exhale, walking your hands forward, and just find what feels good for you. You can completely fold over onto the ground. You can put your head on a couple blocks, or you can just stay upright if that feels good for you. And breathe deeply here for a little bit. Release from here. Place your hands flat on the ground and then lift your hips up and take your left foot back to meet your right foot and come into downward facing dog. Pedal it out a little bit. Get your legs warmed up. Maybe wag your tail. And then take a deep breath in, lifting your right leg up towards the ceiling behind you. And then exhale, bending your right leg and bringing your knee towards your nose and gently placing your foot on the ground between your hands. Drop your back knee and then come on up into this low lunge, hands on your hips, lifting your chest up towards the ceiling with a deep breath in. And then when you exhale, drop your hips towards your right foot, your right heel. Take a few deep breaths here and we'll hold. On your next exhale, push your hips back over your left knee and straighten your right leg, bending your body over your right leg. Take a few deep breaths here, feeling the deep stretch in the back of your right leg. On your next inhale, come back into that low lunge, bending your right leg and straightening your left leg, lifting your chest up. And then on the exhale, move back into that runner's stretch. Bending your left leg and straightening your right leg, dropping your body over your front leg. And move at your own pace, inhaling forward, lifting your chest, and exhaling backward, dropping your body over your right thigh. On your next inhale, lift your chest with your right leg bent and then slowly walk your right foot to the outside of your right hand. And then taking a deep breath in, lift your chest to the front of your mat and then exhale, dropping your hips as low as you can towards the front edge of your mat. You can use blocks here, either under your hands, under your head. You can come down onto your elbows. Guaranteed you will find a deep stretch here, wherever you're at. Release from lizard pose and then walk your right foot over to the left side of your mat and tuck it under your left hip. And then drop your right knee to the floor and come into pigeon pose. Point both of your hip joints to the front of the mat and then take a deep breath in, lifting your chest forward. And when you exhale, you can walk your hands forward and fall into this stretch as deep as you'd like. You can either stay upright, fall completely onto the floor, or put your head on some blocks. Find your posture and then take a few deep breaths here. Come on out of this pigeon pose and use your hands to walk your body back upright and then lift your hips and send your right foot back to meet your left and come into downward facing dog. Pedal it out a little bit, wag your tail. Take a deep breath in, expanding your chest towards the mat, And then exhale, lifting your tailbone up towards the sky. You can bend your knees deeply here, getting a nice stretch in the back. Drop your knees to the mat and spread them out so they're about as wide as the mat, and sink your hips back to your feet and come into child's pose. Take a few deep breaths here. Slowly begin to walk your hands towards your body, lifting your body upright, and then come onto your seat, putting your feet in front of you and extending your legs completely straight in front of you. Take a deep breath in, lifting your hands up overhead, expanding your chest, and then exhale, forward fold over your feet or over your legs. And wherever your hands land, you can grab onto that and just let gravity pull you down. Breathe deeply here, feeling the stretch in the back of your legs and your lower back. Release, coming back into an upright position with your legs forward. Take your right leg, your right ankle, and cross it over your left leg, keeping your left leg straight. You can tuck your foot over by your left hip. Take a deep breath in, lifting your arms all the way up overhead, and then exhale, forward fold, reaching for your left foot as much as you can. Breathe deeply here. We'll hold for a little bit. Release, coming back into an upright position. Now keeping your right leg where it's at, bend your left leg so that your left foot is over by your right hip. And now take a deep breath in, and you can again forward fold if you would like, and put your head on some blocks, or just sit upright and keep your hands on your knees. This is a deep stretch for everyone. Find what is good for you, and we'll hold for a few breaths. Release, extending your left leg straight once again, and roll down onto your back with your right leg exactly where it's at still. Now slowly bring your left foot, slowly bend your left leg and put the sole of your left foot on the ground. And you can bring your right ankle to your left knee. And take a few deep breaths here. You can stay here if that's a good stretch, or you can grab your left thigh with your hands and pull it in towards your chest. Release both legs forward, and then come back up into a seated upright position with both legs extended forward. We'll do the same on the other side. Now take your left leg and cross it over your right leg. Bring your left foot up towards your right hip. And then take a deep breath in, lifting your hands overhead, lifting your chest, and then exhale, walk your hands forward as far as you can, and hold here for a few deep breaths. Release, walking your hands back up towards your body so that you're upright. And now take your right leg and bend it and put the right foot over by your left hip. Take a deep breath in, lifting your hands overhead, and then You can either exhale and place them on your knees or walk them forward a little bit. Find your stretch here and then hold for a few deep, slow breaths. Release, straightening your right leg, sending it out front and slowly rolling onto your back. Taking your left ankle and placing it on your right knee, bend your right leg so the sole of the foot is flat on the ground. And then you can breathe here for a little bit, or if you'd like a deeper stretch, grab your thigh and bring it in towards your body. Release both legs forward so that they're straight and flat on the ground. And then take a deep breath in, lifting your chest towards the ceiling, and then exhale, melting into the mat. Bring both of your knees into your chest and wrap your arms around them as much as you can and pull them in, giving them a good squeeze. We'll hold here for a few deep breaths. Release your left leg so that it's straight out in front of you, flat on the ground, and squeeze your right knee into your armpit. Take a deep breath here. Using your right hand on your right knee, pull it over to the right side, trying to bring it towards the floor, and use your left hand to push down on your left hip towards into the ground. Take a few deep breaths here. Slowly bring your right knee back into your chest. Using your left hand on your right knee, bring it over to your left side. And then extend your right hand out to the right side and turn your gaze to look at your right fingertips. Take a few deep breaths here. Bring your knee back into your chest, and then bring your left knee into your chest and give both of your knees a squeeze. Now release your right leg so that it is straight out in front of you. Give your left knee a hug and pull it into your armpit. Using your left hand on your left knee, open your left leg up to your left side, dropping it towards the floor, and then use your right hand on your right hip to push that down. And take a few deep breaths here. Slowly bring your knee back into your chest, and then with your right hand on your left knee, bring it over to the right side. trying to touch the floor. Extend your left hand to your left side and turn your gaze to look at your left fingertips. Take a couple deep breaths here. Release, bringing your knee back into your chest. And release both legs forward, flat on the ground. If you have some blocks handy, then go ahead and grab them. And we're going to come into supported fish pose. So we'll make a T out of the blocks. One block will be long ways on its shorter side, and then the other one will be on its tall side and like a T on top of it. So the long ways one will go between your shoulder blades, and then the other one will be your headrest. And come back onto your blocks. Drop your hands to your sides, palms facing up. And we'll breathe deeply here for a good while. And if you would like, you can stay right here for your final Shavasana, or you can gently remove the blocks and set them aside and come completely flat onto your mat. And we'll rest here for a couple of minutes. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a deep breath in, lifting your hands overhead, doing a big morning stretch. And then roll onto your side in the fetal position. With your top arm, push yourself up into a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed if that feels good for you. Once you're here, take a deep breath in, lifting your chest towards the ceiling, expanding your entire rib cage. outward. And then exhale, bringing your shoulder blades down your spine and together. One more deep breath, lifting your hands overhead as you inhale. And then exhale, hands together at heart center. Let's do one more deep breath like that, lifting your hands overhead, lifting your chest. And then exhale, bringing your palms together at heart center. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this. This is so good. I love this flow so much. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe.